YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing today? How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Navigating the Modern World with Eli, the Walking with Purpose Live Edition. Live from Red Morton Park today. This is episode 894. And today we're going to be talking about taking things with a grain of salt and moving forward. One more time. Take things with a grain of salt and move forward. Before we get to that, going to wait for some people to pop on in. It's about 54 degrees right now, and I don't have my gloves on. That might have been a mistake, but whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is. Whatever will be, right? You know, que sera, sera, right? I'm sure you young folks, you millennials and Gen Zers and Alpha generation now, never heard this song. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. What was the next line? The future is ours to see. Que sera, sera, right? I think I butchered it, but who knows? Maybe I got it right. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in a good mood today, but I was going to go to the trail about half an hour, 40 minutes ago, and there was enough light to walk most of the trail, but I went to go put my Ray-Bans on. You know, I replaced my Ray-Ban 2140 Wayfarers that finally split in the middle after like 9, almost 10 years. And Ray-Bans are warranted for 2 years, and you're supposed to technically replace them every couple years or so. But they're so well made that, you know, they last. The only problem is with any glasses you have, it's the screws that hold the hinges together. After you put them on and off so many times, you have to tighten the screw, and after a while, the screws, they wear out. The metal housing, the hinges, they're strong, but the screws wear out. So that's what happened. And Don had bought me a replacement kit for glasses, and I had replaced it one time. It was a multi-pack of screws, but the screws that were remaining didn't fit, so I ordered some screws specifically for the Ray-Ban 2140 Wayfarers, and they're coming tomorrow. They're coming tomorrow from Amazon. I'm the kind of guy, like, if something breaks, I drop everything, get the parts on order. And the great thing about Amazon is you can get parts, like, typically within 1 to 2 days. Now, some parts for some older, older items, like I have a Dyson V6. If I need to order parts for that, some of the parts might take a week to arrive, but whatever you need parts for nowadays, you can typically get them 1 to 2 days from Amazon, and that's great. And I just like to fix things right away. I hate things being broken, right? And I'm the kind of guy that orders a ton of spares. So, the screws for the Ray-Ban 2140 sunglasses, it comes in a pack of 4. I ordered 2 packs. So I have 8 screws. And they're easy to lose. So, it's $8, $9 a pack, $18 for 8 screws. Yeah, it's expensive for screws, but that's actually for a specific, top-notch sunglasses. It's a simple fix. And those Ray-Bans will last me, I've had them for 2 years. They'll probably last at least another 6, 7, or 8 years. Anyway, It is getting a little bit chilly. I probably should have put my gloves on, but that's okay. I think we're going to be just fine. Yeah. Let's talk about, taking things with a grain of salt and moving forward. Ever since I started to teach personal development, that was back in 2011 and 2012 and 2013. When I first started my organization, the Genuine Networking Association, or GNA for short, when I first started to teach personal development, I really started to focus more deeply on observing other people's behaviors in the real world. And then when I came out here on YouTube, now I was already doing YouTube for the GNA and my insurance business, and I've had channels on YouTube since YouTube came out. I mean, technically my first channel was created in 2009. Like, 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago. And YouTube's been around almost 20 years. So, I've been out here since YouTube's been out, but it wasn't until about almost 7 years ago where I, first, made a real attempt to be a real YouTuber. Oh, there are so many people coming in right now and just driving everywhere. That's why I prefer to go to the trail, but sometimes, that's not possible based on the time. Hang on a second here. Anyway, just a second. Some cars are still coming by. Hey Tia, good evening to you. I'm glad you popped in. I was in the middle of a thought and I forgot what I was talking about. That happens. I hope your day went well, and I hope your night is going well, your evening is going well. And Dawn is doing fantastic, by the way. She says hello to everyone. We still have the super chat goals here. If we do reach a minimum of 5 super chats at $5 a piece on any given Walking with Purpose stream, between now and the end of the year, Dawn and I will go live. That offer expires on December 31st, New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2024. TS says, hello, Dawn. Yeah. So we're talking about, taking things with a grain of salt and moving forward. Oh, I was talking about when I first started doing personal development back in 2011, 2012, and 2013, and I started to really study and observe human behavior. And when I came out here on YouTube, especially when I started my coaching / personal development channels almost 7 years ago, I really started to more so observe and notice the most erratic behavior I've ever seen. Tia, I got to tell you, Tia and anyone else that's here, I got to tell you, it just blows my mind to hear some of the things people come out here on YouTube and say. Does it surprise me? Maybe a little bit, but for the most part, it doesn't really surprise me because, over the years, I've just grown to learn that a lot of people, probably half the people in this world, have some kind of mental disorder or emotional disorder or some kind of mental or emotional disease. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm not saying that to diagnose anyone. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not even allowed to do that. I wouldn't do that. It's just what I've seen. I mean, I have seen some of the most erratic behavior out here on YouTube, and some of the things that are said, I can't believe some people would get so mad, so upset over things that another YouTuber says on the internet that doesn't involve them, and because it's a difference of opinion, right? And especially if these people live clear across the country, right? Or clear across the ocean in some cases, right? And, a lot of the things that I've seen people say are very scary. Very, very scary. Now, some people might laugh at some very serious things that people say or do. I've heard many people make death threats on YouTube. I've heard many people make threats of physical harm. And a lot of people laugh at it because they see it as a form of entertainment. But anyone in their right mind is going to see it as, this is a grown-ass woman or grown-ass man on YouTube just exploding in misery in real time. Exploding in misery in real time. It's not normal. And even if people laugh at it, and even if it just seems funny because you would never expect someone to behave this way, not only online but offline, even if people see it as even if people see it as funny, it's not funny. It's absolutely not funny. Right? It's scary because even if you come out and you're like, oh, well, so-and-so who said this and so-and-so who said that or threatened this, threatened that, they would never follow through with that, right? You never know. You never know, right? I've learned to more so control my emotions and not overreact out here on YouTube because, it's not a good thing. And if you constantly come out on YouTube and make threats, and act crazy, it could be used against you. Could be used against you legally. Other people might see it as a threat and take some action. You never know. You just never know, right? And I've said this before and I'll say it again. There are some things I've gotten frustrated at in the past. And I said some things, that I didn't mean the heat of the moment, but they came off differently to other people than I intended. And in some cases, many cases, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. It matters how people perceive it. And I've learned to manage my emotions, and no matter how upset someone tries to make me, no matter how far they push things to try to get me to crack, right? I do what the title of this stream says. I take it with a grain of salt, and I keep moving forward. I used to not do that. That's a lesson learned. That's a lesson everyone should learn. Man, I'll tell you. I should have put my gloves on. Redwood City Police is over here. They're over there. The Redwood City Police Department is one of the most professional police departments, period. You know, I've had to deal with them over the last several years. Nothing to do with things I've done. It's had to do with things that have been done upon me by many other people. And all of their dealings surrounding me have been very professional and very respectful. You know, in the past, I remember the story from, well, let's just say this, okay? Whenever I've had to go down to the police department for whatever reason, all right, let's just put it that way. And, you know, I've needed some papers from them, right? Whenever I've gone down for that, I've always offered the clerk to fill out a survey. And the clerk, you know, was a nice lady that's been there for a while. The clerk would say, "Oh, there is no survey." I'm like, "Oh, really? I just want to acknowledge your great service." She's like, "We're just happy to help you. It's our job to serve you and protect you." And I was like, in my head, I was like, "God bless you." I told her, "Thank you. I appreciate that." You know? Because, you know, many people disrespect law enforcement. Many people disrespect law enforcement. To go even a step further, what's even comical is some law enforcement officers disrespect law enforcement in general. It's I've actually seen this. Other, some law enforcement officers have disrespected law enforcement in general. And that's really, really strange to me, because I guess some people will just do any job, even if they don't like it or believe in it, right? People that don't believe in law enforcement, or people that, cross lines involving the law, why would they work a job like that? It's simply for the money. I'll tell you, any government job pays decent, It's not the greatest paying job, but it's an average, above average paying job. They pay a fair salary, but you have the best medical benefits. If you're there for 20 years, you get a pension, a full pension. You get every freaking holiday off, every wannabe holiday. No disrespect to the wannabe holidays, but you get every single holiday off and paid. And you're working during the daytime, Monday through Friday, typically Monday. Now, some jobs in law enforcement, like if you're a policeman and other types of law enforcement jobs, yeah, you can work anytime. But what I'm saying, like with most government jobs, they're Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 9 to 5 type of jobs. So take things with a grain of salt and then just move forward. You know, I'm about to turn 51 years old next week. And I'll tell you, at this point in my life, I finally found a woman that I'm very happy with and I love very deeply, and she loves me. At this point in my life, I've settled into my relationship. I live with my lady. We're going to get married at some point in the near future once we resolve some other things that have nothing to do really with her and I. We've got some other things to resolve. And we want to take care of all those things and do it right over the next year or so. But I'm settled into my relationship. I've got good family. And I'm building my organization to be something unlike anyone else has ever done. And I know when you come out here and you say things, when you come out here and you say things like that, and you haven't had the greatest luck or the greatest success, the people that have been bashing you for years will continue to say, oh, you're just saying that, oh, you've been doing this for 7 years, it's never going to change. You can keep saying that, it's all good. I'm going to keep moving forward. Because right now, I'm in a very happy place. And my girlfriend, Dawn, is in a very happy place. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you folks. So I was going to show you, but the person that runs this, that owns the house over there, was testing the lights earlier. He had them on. He'll probably put them on. We'll probably see them. I'm going to do at least one more lap, maybe 3 laps. I'm debating on whether I should stop by my car and put my gloves on, but my hands are actually starting to warm up. So I'll tough it out. Oh, and by the way, to those people that were saying you can't get hypothermia at 50 degrees, why don't you go read online? If you're submerged in water, and if you're submerged in 50-degree water for 60 minutes, you can get hypothermia at 50 degrees. It's all good. I'm not trying to argue anyone. I'm just saying, I watch a lot of shows. I watch air disasters, and then there's a show now that's called Sea Disasters. I believe they're both on Smithsonian. And if you have Paramount Plus, which I have Smithsonian on DirecTV, but I like to watch these shows without commercials because there's so many commercials on the Smithsonian channel. You go watch stuff on the streaming services, you pay for the higher tier package with no ads, and it just seamlessly goes through the whole show in less time, no commercials. But yeah, no, I saw a show. I've been watching a show called Sea Disasters, And when these boats, something happens and they start to sink, or water gets in the boat, or water gets on the boat, I mean, they start to sink, like especially for fishermen that are hundreds of miles out in the ocean. They have these suits they can wear if they get them on in time that'll keep them warm for like at least 3 hours. Some of them, that are rated, that are rated higher can last a bit longer. And then these boats have this beacon that when it's submerged in water, it transmits to the Coast Guard that the boat is in distress, and it states the location via satellite and GPS. And yeah, even in 50-degree water, hypothermia can set in within an hour or less. Anyway, let's turn on the front light. Oh, I just clicked the highlight reel. Oh, I gotta delete that highlight when it's gonna show up on my videos. Like I mentioned the other day, when you're doing a mobile stream, you can touch the highlight button, and I believe it clips the last 5 minutes that you could, publicly put out there on your channel if you want. It's so nice to have this sidewalk open over here. It's much safer, especially when you're walking at night. You don't have to cross the street or anything. Fantastic. Good work, guys and gals. Yeah, so I've learned to take things with a grain of salt. I've learned to let a lot of things go. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because I don't react on YouTube, or other people may not react on YouTube, that doesn't mean that certain things, people do are overlooked or are not considered threatening or harmful, right? But you have to also understand, when you're on the internet, folks, from what I've learned over the years, when you're on the internet, even if someone is legitimately threatening you, which has happened to me, if someone has been legitimately threatening you, right? At the same time, they're looking to get a reaction from you for more content. So the best course of action would be to just ignore it, right? Now, for me, sometimes I might talk about specific situations, but I think going on in 2025, and from this point on in 2025, I think I'm just going to use basic examples. And we're going to start to interview more and more people. So, as we transition out of this drama space that's been surrounding my neck of the woods for years, regardless of what I do, good, bad, and different, right? A lot of people will, or have continued to talk about me daily because it's profitable to them, right? And that's the only reason. It all boils down to money. We all know that. People have said that. We all know it boils down to money, right? I also know that some people, everything they do is done for money. And if money wasn't involved, then they wouldn't do it. In my opinion, I think that's the wrong way to approach things. There's nothing wrong with making money, but if you don't do something just because you like it and it suits your purpose, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. When you do things just for the money, a lot of times you will do things you really don't want to do or wouldn't normally do because maybe somebody is paying you or donating money to you to do them. I've seen that happen out here on YouTube many times. I've been the victim of it, and so have many other creators. They've been the victim of it, right? And then you call this out, right? You call it out, which I'm not calling it out right now. I'm just using it as an example, right? Of things you can just move on from, right? You know, take it with a grain of salt and move on from it, because it's not going to change until the other people want it to change, right? And when you call it out, when you call out the people that are basically accepting money from, you know, their supporters with a specific agenda to trash myself or other people, right? When you call them out, they make every excuse in the book to protect their investment. They know it. I know it. Everyone else knows it, right? But they'll never admit it because that puts them out of business. And some people, if they're hurting for money so badly, will continue doing things like this. You know? And to those people out there, I don't understand why you don't put yourself in other people's shoes that you're doing this to, because you wouldn't want it done to you. That's a very fair question. But when you're dealing with people that will do anything for money, right? Right? I mean, there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to get these people to change their way or their mind. They made up their mind. That's just who they are. When it comes to me, like I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I played my cards just a little bit differently over the last 6.5, 7 years, I could have turned myself, these people like to call me a lolcow, right? Whatever. If they want to call me a lolcow, call me a lolcow. I'm not a lolcow, but you want to call me a lolcow, I don't care, whatever. Right? Hold on a second. Let me see what Tia said. I'm cautious of people, very distrustful. I have seen so many people turn. I want no part of it. I will always side eye. I've always kept my circle small. Yeah, I don't blame you, Tia, to keep your circle small. The thing is, if you're trying to build something at the level I'm building it, we need as many people as possible. And unfortunately, while you're building something, you know, some people are going to slip through the cracks or bypass your radar, right? I've gotten a lot better at filtering those people out, but no matter how good you are at filtering people out, some will always slip through the cracks, and you just got to say it is what it is and move on, right? You got to take it with a grain of salt and move on, like the topic of the show. That's the bottom line. There's really not much more you can do than that. Right. Building trust is a bit different. Right. But the only way you can build trust, Tia, and anyone else, is by taking chances, taking risks. Taking chances or taking risks. I've just learned to take the best risks possible. Do some of them still fail or, you know, cause me issues, unintentionally provoked? Or they weren't, I never provoked it. It was all intentional, right? I've gotten better at filtering people out, and that's what I'm trying to teach people. Become the best possible filter of the people you want to associate with, right? Get better at filtering people out, but no matter how good your filter is, you're always going to have people that are going to slip through the cracks, especially if you have an internet presence with an internet audience. You're always going to be dealing with people that are going to be flip-floppers and your best friend one day, your worst enemy the next day, right? When they see you successful, they'll make up shit about you to try to leverage your success and make money off your name and destroy your success because they're jealous. That's just how people, the thing is, what we see on the internet nowadays is no different than how many people have always been. Jealousy, instead of being displayed in the real world now, has gone online, right? So is it really any different? The only difference is people can hide out here and be anonymous. I personally don't care to be anonymous. I don't. I mean, I've always been the kind of person that has wanted to show people my true self. And if I were to come out here on YouTube and just even use my voice and never face or anything and be anonymous, I wouldn't feel good about that. Even if it was successful, I wouldn't. I'm going to do one more lap. Tia says, me either. So Tia says, sorry, I totally agree. The internet is a problem. Me either. I'm not going to hide behind a fake name. I can respect that a lot, Tia. I can respect that, right? I think what a lot of people do on the internet is, I gotta wait because there are just a lot of people coming at the same time. Go ahead. I mean, literally like 10 cars just came out and I'm just trying to cross. No one's letting me go. And finally, there's a gap. It's all right. I guess pedestrians no longer have the right of way. It's not a big deal. Take it with a grain of salt and move forward, right? You got these big SUVs nowadays. They're taller and wider, and they take up so much space. It's hard to navigate these things. Like our parking lots were not made for cars, to be that tall and wide. But they do it that way. They're taller and wider because they're roomier. They want to make them more roomy and luxurious. But they're much more dangerous. And in many parking spaces, they barely fit, or you see these big SUVs. They're so wide, like they're parked outside of the line. And then you park next to them, and you can't even get out of your damn car. It's almost like you're gonna, hit their door getting out. Anyway, it is what it is. Take it with a grain of salt and move on. It's not going to change. I don't think we're going to redesign our roads and parking lots anytime soon for wider and taller SUVs and truck. Even pickup trucks have gotten wider and taller. You see these pickup trucks now, these Chevys and these Fords, and they're more massive than ever. They're massive. Just wait. Somebody's walking in front of me. I'm going to wait for them to go. Okay. Lap number 2. I'll probably do a third lap. All right. Give me a second, I'll be right back. All right. We are back live. We should be back live. So yeah, in 2025, there are going to be so many different changes. Last night, it was interesting because I had not updated the January Networking Association.org website on WordPress in a long time. It had a lot of security issues. Now it's had, HTTPS. It's a secured link and all that, but as far as some of the plugins that I use and stuff like that, my web hosting provider, I've been with them for, probably over almost 15 years now. They used to be a part. AT&T used to collaborate with them and run it together, but now AT&T sold off their part, and they're a separate company. Same exact service, it's just no longer run by AT&T. Good service, but I got an email, and my website, some of the files they put in quarantine. And I looked at all the files. Sometimes it was a false positive. I looked at the files, they were all fine. There was nothing wrong. But I hadn't updated. Like WordPress right now is up to version 6.7 something, I think. And I had like version 4.3 on the January Networking Association.org site. I still have my coach at eliasmelas.com website. I'm going to figure out what to do with that. Those packages are still out there, and I've been telling people to not buy them. And if you do buy them, I will refund you your money. But that website's been updated frequently. Like the GNA, the January Networking Association.org website, I had not updated in a while because I was focused on other things. So I did all that last night, and everything is 100% secure. Latest version of WordPress, the plugins are all updated and all that. I still need to optimize the site because it's running a little bit slow, but it still functions. But it's still the older site that I used back in the days for the most part. There's a lot of good content on there, though. If you want to go and just register for free on there, there will be some paid packages down the road, but I have a lot of podcasts out there that I used to do from in-person networking. A lot of on-demand, audio-only content on there. You'll see it, when I used to collaborate with a former organization called Discover County Network. And so it's still out there, the on-demand stuff, and you'll see what I was doing prior to coming out here on YouTube the last 5 to 10 years before that led up to all of this. So I was working on that, and I've been working on some other things, that I haven't mentioned yet. And all of that's going to just be, rolled out in the new year, starting in January, into February, and then into March. Another thing, I was talking with Don, and, Don really likes, Hot Facts with Robert Reese and his wife, Amelia, as friends. We got to be very, very clear, because people love taking myself and Don out of context, right? But we're going to be working very closely with Hot Facts with Robert Reese in the new year. And, Robert Reese and his wife Amelia, but more so Robert, because he's on the front lines. Amelia will come on every now and then, but she's more behind the scenes. And, I do hope, if you see this, Robert, I do hope that Amelia can do some videos or streams with us in the new year, because it'd be great to get on a panel with you and your wife, Robert, and myself and my girlfriend, Dawn. You and your wife, Amelia, and myself and my girlfriend, Dawn. Here we go. Let's show you. This man is amazing at this house. This dude, this guy has got to be like some kind of engineer. He likes Harleys too. This is like, whoever that guy's married to is a lucky woman, because this guy is a cool dude, and he's very talented. Like, look at this. And every year it's something different. He has to program those lights and then set them up to do what he wants it to do. This is all custom work. This is frickin', and this is the tree again. And then when if the 49ers make the playoffs, this becomes a San Francisco 49er tree. Yeah, it's cool, huh, Tia? Now watch this. I'm going to do this because this is on. Last year, it wasn't on as much. Yeah. This is absolutely amazing. Like, if we go in here, like, I'll show you. Oops. Hi. It's awesome. Wonderful. See this? Now, I'll go in. And then when I get in, I can switch to the front camera. And then look at this. Woo, 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 woo. What's this, a countdowner? This thing is counting down. Man. This is really, man, this is really getting good every year, man. Wow. Like, maybe on New Year's Eve, man, this would be the countdowner right here. Yeah. This is awesome. All right, let's continue. We've seen the light show. It's fantastic. And then the guy's workshop is over there. He leaves his garage door open. He's got his Harleys out there. And then he's I think he was out there just checking everything and testing everything. I think he does most of it himself. He has probably help from a few people, but God, that's a lot of work. to set that up. One more lap. Well, the only person here is Tia, so if Tia puts a 1 in the chat, we're taking another lap. Hey, 1 is better than no 1, right? It's all right. It's all right, you know. They will come when it's meant to be. When it's meant to be, they will all come. Tia says 1, so we're taking another lap. Take things with a grain of salt, folks. You can't let everything bother you. If something is petty, let it go. It's not worth it. Now, if people are constantly harassing you and threatening you and doing things that are not considered petty, and I think every human being, look at that. Isn't that cool too? Everyone's getting their Christmas lights out. I think everyone has an understanding of what's petty and what isn't petty. I think everyone has an understanding. All right? You got to let the petty stuff go. And that's something I'll talk about on the final lap here, because not only on YouTube, in the past did I not let the petty stuff go. In my real life, in my younger days, I didn't let the petty stuff go. It's going to get dark here, so I'll put the front camera and the light. Not letting the petty stuff go in your younger days, or for some people that still can't let petty stuff go as they get older, it's going to affect people from wanting to be around you, including your family, your friends. If you're in a relationship or a marriage and you can't learn to let petty stuff go, whether you're the man or the woman, eventually it could cost you your relationship or your marriage. In life, you have to understand that you're going to be dealing with petty shit all the time. Petty shit from people that are miserable and, you know, they see you as a happy person and they feel that if they can't be happy, no one else should be happy. So anyone that miserable people encounter that appears happier than they are, they try to knock you down and project their misery onto you as their selfish and pathetic attempt to make themselves feel better, right? And that's petty. That's probably one of the most petty things, period, right? And you can let that go. Just ignore it. Now, some people on YouTube, for example, you can ignore and they'll keep trying to get your attention with petty shit. You can keep ignoring it. And you should ignore it. The only reasons, like I've said in the past, why I don't ignore certain things is because, you know, I teach personal development. And part of that is using these things as examples, right? Part of what I do here is I want to help people, not only personally, but professionally, better handle themselves. And because the professional world has gone more so online nowadays, we've got to learn how to better conduct our businesses online and conduct ourselves more professionally online. I'm sure you can probably agree with that, Tia. Maybe I sound like a broken record. Maybe I sound cuckoo. But we really have to learn to handle ourselves more professionally on the internet. Now, there's nothing wrong with having good, clean fun. But you should never do things on YouTube that you would never do in the real world. I think the best way to put it, I have some lights out here. Maybe you can see me. There we go. I think the best way to put it is you should not do things on YouTube that you wouldn't do in the real world. Right? And if you are going to come out and say, well, it's the internet, we could be whoever we want and do whatever we want. Well, in the real world, if you were to do the same things that you're doing on YouTube, you would be identified. You can't hide in the real world, and you can hide online. Right? So as a good rule of thumb, don't do things on the internet or on YouTube or other social media sites that you wouldn't do in the real world. Tia says, many people out here seem to think I'm lonely. I'm this lonely widow. That's far from the truth. I was happily married 24 years. How many of you have even been in a relationship, much less happy in general? That's a long time. I've never been with somebody that long. But I think I'm going to reach that with Dawn. Actually, I know we're going to reach that. Why even say think? I know we're going to reach that. And you know, Tia, I'll say, you know, both Dawn and I are proud of you. Santa Palacio is proud of you. I think you know that. You know, we've all talked behind the scenes. Tia says you will. Well, thank you. You know? Humbly speaking, I hope she keeps me around. You know, she's a good woman. I love her. She's been through a lot, but so have I. And that's what I love about Dawn, is that she has so much experience. Right? She has so much experience, and you know, there are times in her life where she's been the underdog, like I've been the underdog. And I've always been a sucker for the underdog. I've always been the type of person that is more drawn to people that have been less than fortunate. And I'm not saying Dawn's been less than fortunate. Maybe in some cases she has and I have. I'm not, you know, saying that's, you know, the full scope of it. But what I love about Dawn is that she's a real person. And she's not afraid to speak her mind. And she's not afraid to stand up for herself. And she's a fighter. Not a fist fighter and stuff like that, but she's a fighter for her life. And based on the cards, some of the cards she's been dealt, I'm really proud of how far she's come. And yeah, you know, there have been some struggles over the first 2 years in our relationship, not between us, but you know, we had some struggles on YouTube and trolls and stuff, and she was dealing with a lot more stuff back then, right? But now she's completely past that. She still has her moments. I do too. We all do. But Dawn is doing amazing. And she's getting healthier every single day. And we look forward, if we don't reach any one of these super chat goals, to go live sooner than the beginning of the new year. Then we look forward to the new year where Don and I will start to do some content again every now and then we're gonna play it by ear, and we got a good strategy. We're not gonna say too much. I'm really starting to see some changes happening. I really feel the wind shifting. The tide is turning, right? The air is clearing. Hang on a second. Let me show you this. Oh, that's good. Nice job there on the tree. Beautiful. My hands have actually warmed up. It's probably about 50 degrees right now. Maybe 52. When the rest of your body warms up, your warm blood, it circulates through your body, and then it hits your fingers. It's like, I'm not cold anymore, but once it gets down to like under 50, it's got to be like 50 or 52 right now. Once it gets to under 50 or around 45, it doesn't matter. You got to have gloves on at that point. Oh man, the new year is going to be absolutely amazing, and I got to tell you, once again, I really have to thank certain people that are deciding to stay anonymous. And I understand that. Some people yesterday, I'm sure they can figure out who they are. Some people sent me some things, some links that I would have never cared to look for. And what they sent me was very helpful. It made my day. And I want to thank the anonymous people out there for their support. And I hope in 2025. I hope in 2025 that maybe, I'm just saying maybe some people from the past can be welcomed back with the understanding that things are not going to be the way they've been in the past. I don't want anyone to beg to come back. It's going to be at the discretion of myself and the G&A executive team. That includes Don, Tia, and Sandra Palacio. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking about, we're going to bring in Robert Reese and his wife Amelia as leaders of the organization. I don't know if we're going to bring them in as vice presidents or bring them in as ambassadors. I'm going to figure this out. But I'm going to talk with the executive team and hang on a second. If they feel that certain people should be welcomed back, with the understanding that, you know, all of the drama and stupid stuff is done. And if you're going to come back and support us, and if you're going to come back and support us, you'd be supporting the GNA as well. Myself, Don, Tia, Sandra, you'd be supporting the GNA. And you'd be coming back with the understanding that if once again we give you that chance and you go anywhere on YouTube or anywhere on the internet and trash myself, my girlfriend Dawn, any of the other leaders or any of the other supporters of the GNA, in management or not, moderators or not, executives, ambassadors or not, you'll be out the door again. The GNA is an organization that doesn't go both ways. And if you want to spin me out of context saying that, then whatever floats your fucking boat and cures your fucking misery, you could take that for whatever it's worth. You're either here to support a good cause with no drama, no hate, no discrimination, none of that shit, or you're done. Don't even try to come back. Well, don't even try to come back regardless. We're going to choose. We're going to handpick who we allow to come back from people that have been removed from the past. That's our discretion. If I had to guess, probably very few people will be welcomed back. But I will also say this, okay? I'll say this. I firmly do believe there are some people that probably never really wanted to leave in the first place and want to be back on good terms with us and want to be our friends. And you know, that's all I've ever wanted with everyone, is to just get along and be friends and be decent, right? But if you somehow run across the wrong groups on YouTube and they find out about you, it's like slipping back to the wild, wild west. They used to call YouTube the wild, wild west of the internet. And it used to be. I'll tell you, before they tightened things up, the type of content you could monetize and the amount of money people made monetizing the most vile and stupid shit, right, was ridiculous. Then they cracked down on it. Why? Because the sponsor said, "Fuck this. We're not gonna put our money on this dumb shit. We're not reaching the right audience, or even if we are, the people that are watching our commercials on these other channels that are doing vile things are wondering why we're endorsing vile content." That's why YouTube had to set the advertiser-friendly guidelines. Those were created around 2018. Before that, there were no ad-friendly guidelines. There weren't. But they had to be created because YouTube used to be the wild, wild west of the internet. And to a certain extent, it still kind of is. But it's not nearly nearly as bad as it used to be. Now, some people, a few people, are doing worse things than I've ever seen before in any era of YouTube. But for the most part, YouTube as a whole is nowhere nearly like the Wild Wild West anymore. It's final lap, folks. We're at 70 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes. Start getting your final questions, comments, and concerns in the chat. I'll respond to your messages. And I got to get back to Sandra as well. And I got to get back to the actual overall group page. I got to get with Lewis and start talking with him regarding 2025. Lewis Fuller is going to be a huge part. Lewis Fuller is going to be a huge part of the GNA starting in 2025. Trust me, Lewis, you've been one of the nicest guys in the world that I've ever met. You don't let any disability get in the way. You don't let people get in the way of you just continuing to move forward. You're a brave man, dude. I respect you. I have a lot of respect for you. One of the nicest guys in the world. I'm proud to be your friend, dude. Seriously. That will be great with Lewis, a great guy. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I've been talking with Don, and we're figuring out, you know, what would be the best way to work with Lewis. We know we want to work with him. And we know he's a great person and stuff, but we want to also create content along with Lewis that people are going to want to engage with and watch. And so, you know, right now we're figuring out what the right formula is regarding that. Well, the lights are off for right now. They were on earlier. I think he's testing them tonight. But at least on the second lap, I was able to go in the vortex. Actually, the circle, I don't think it wasn't moving. Like sometimes the circle will like, oh, there we go. Now it's moving. Now this is back on. Should I go in here one more time? Now the circle is spinning. I don't remember it spinning the last time I went through it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Come on, switcheroo. Ooh, 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 yeah. And this is great over here, the countdown. I mean, this dude probably has a system. He could probably program this shit to do whatever the hell he wants it to do. That's awesome. That is fantastic. And all of this is monitored. There's like a camera up there. It's all monitored by closed circuit TV, CCTV. Everyone has CCTV nowadays. We are at 75 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. During this last part again, I really look forward to the new year, and I really hope that some people can change their ways of how they want to make money. When you accept money from someone with the intention to belittle another person, I'll share this. Like in the past, and this was before I even knew this to be a trolling technique. I understand the whole trolling game now, but in the past, I used to go on some live stream panels with the legitimate intention of it being a decent, reasonable show with whatever creators were on that panel, right? And when I got on there, they ambushed me. And then I found out after that they were paid a lot of money to ambush me on those live streams. And that's pretty sad. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't gone to anyone's panels in quite some time. At least certain people's panels, right? And here's the thing. Don't think for 1 second that I don't think things like this aren't possible in the future. Don't think things like this aren't possible in the future, because I can tell you this. Don and I, we understand that people are going to trash talk us. That says desperation. Well, yeah, call it whatever it is, Tia. Yeah. Like I said the other day, call a spade, right? I mean, some people will do anything for money. And you would think they would feel some guilt or shame or remorse or something, right? But they don't, because the fact that they need the money so badly that they have to stoop to that level. It's really sad, right? And here's the thing. If I'm ever in a situation, because I'm going to be going on a lot of panels, I might go on some panels during the rest of this year, possibly. Some I've already committed to. Some I might commit to. We'll see. But in the new year, I'm going to be going on a lot of panels. And I'm going to tell you this. Every panel that I go on, it's an automatic assumption that the creator has been paid by a certain creator out here that makes large donations, and they're paid to trash myself and my girlfriend Dawn. I'm just putting it out there saying that every single the horse world, the Christmas lights are beautiful. Eli, the horse world, well, welcome to the show. This is your first time here. I've never seen you here before. By the way, Woolworth, your account with your channel membership, your $4.99 channel membership has been unbanned. I'm sorry about that, dude. I took care of that right before I came out here. Sorry, man. I remembered. But yeah, you know, if I'm ever put in the position where someone brings me on a show and leads me to believe that it's going to be a legitimate show, and then they flip the script because they were paid to do so, I'm just going to tell you all how I'm going to handle it. I'm not going to rage quit. I'm not going to leave the show. What I would do is I would say, "Hey, if it makes you feel better and it helps you pay your bills for you to trash talk myself and my girlfriend Dawn, I'll stay here. You just tell me what I should say next as part of the script so you can have your payday, and then we can all just go do our thing. We could all just part ways and do our thing, right? Part ways with no harm, no disrespect, with no nothing. If I'm ever in that situation again, that's how it's going to be. No, I've been to your show. I have to keep my identity private. I get attacked by certain people. Fair enough. I understand. I completely understand. And I don't blame you one bit. I don't blame anyone. Yeah, at least you're probably not having people threatening to sucker punch you. Hey, Revelations, how you doing, brother? Happy holidays to you. Welcome to the show. About to go off the air, man. And you know it's funny? Some people that donate large amounts of money to creators to intentionally trash talk myself and my girlfriend Dawn, they pay the creator more money the longer that they can keep me on a live stream. Right? That's what they do. So if I'm in that situation, just so anyone that has any idea of potentially, in the future, because it's happened many times in the past by many different creators. If I'm ever in that situation, right, I will ask that creator and say, can you ask the person that paid you how long do I need to stay on to help you get that money? Because it's the Christmas spirit and I feel like giving. I'll do my part. Because if that's what some people need to succeed and to pay their bills and, take care of themselves and their family, it's the holiday spirit, it's holiday season. I've always been the kind of guy that's willing to take one for the team, right? Right? I've always been the kind of guy that's willing to take one for the team. But let me tell you something. When you take one for the team and you help someone out in a way that normally most people wouldn't, it comes back to you tenfold later on down the road. That's called good karma. And that's how I plan to handle any types of potential ambushes that could happen down the road, because the honest truth is I do miss going on other people's live streams and sharing my thoughts and opinions, and it's a big networking opportunity that I've not been able to leverage because of certain things that have been happening out here on YouTube, and I'm going to start leveraging it. But I'm also not stupid, and I'm also well aware and self-aware. And so, if anyone's got anything planned, just know I'll play, and you can make your money. And I'll take the good karma that comes along with helping you out. With that being said, have a good one. Take care, and as always, oh, by the way, Tia, thank you for being here, and Revelations, thank you for being here. You too, my friend. Hello, Revelations says the horse world. The horse world, thank you for being here. Tia, thank you for being here. Revelations, and anyone else that was here. Woolworth, you're on band. Sorry about that. You're on band on your channel membership channel. I gotta run. I got some things to do, but I'll be back tomorrow. 87 minutes, an hour, and 27 minutes. Tia says, thanks, Eli. Have a good night, all. You too. I'll get back to you in a bit regarding your messages. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. Good night, everyone.